can go ahead and get comfortable. Find a comfortable way to, oh, here comes Jan. Comfortable way to sit. So to sit yogically, so seeing that as a change in your mindset about how it is that you're going to set yourself up for sitting, and that, you know, every time you come to sit at some place or wherever in your environment, either we tend to just, you know, we're kind of oblivious to it. We're not being mindful to how we're sitting, or we sit in a particular way. So when we come to sit for yoga, trying to establish that upright position, that lift up through the crown of the head, that extension or elongation of your spine as you're sitting. So if your life was a plant, and much in the same way that you would look at a plant, say it's a potted plant that's sitting in your kitchen window, or it's a plant that you've been cultivating as a perennial outside in your garden, or maybe it's a plant somewhere else out in the wild somewhere, but whatever plant you're considering right now. If your life was a plant and you were looking at it as if you would look at a plant and say, what is it that this plant needs? Perhaps the plant isn't doing so well. Maybe it's needing something. Maybe it's a, you know, how some plants turn yellow, or some plants look dry at the edges, and then you look at that plant, right, in a very neutral way, and you say, well, what is it that this plant needs? And then you apply your plant wisdom to that particular scenario. So see if you can, for a moment now, and you can even close your eyes to use your imagination here now. Look at your life. You know, the life that you are alive. You know, not like your life that it's like the story that you've told, you know, for the last, you know, how many decades, but your life that you are alive and in this body of yours. And ask yourself, if I were a plant, or if my life were a plant, what is it that it needs? And just wait for a moment to let the answer arise for you. And then when you do get an answer that arises, then asking yourself, how is it that you can provide this need, to apply it in a kind of a self-care kind of a manner for yourself. How best can you meet this need? And then just sort of put that whole contemplative, imagination-oriented self-care exercise, just kind of put it to the side, and you can revisit it as you need. And so for now, becoming aware of the outline of your body. Eyes are closed, observing the body sitting here. And much in the same way, that attitude of what is it that you might need if you were a plant. Looking at the outline of your body and the space within the outline. And instead of seeing it as this space or emptiness, or maybe even you might see it as a dark color as you're looking inward. What if you were to see it as a canvas, and that you are going to now apply paint, color, some kind of creative application to this canvas? And what would you bring to this canvas, this internal space that is you? And just let your imagination take charge here. There's no right answer. There's no right color, wrong color. But just continue to allow the canvas to be dabbled upon. So that you become this kind of living art creation, installation. And try not to lose touch with it, this image of you as art. Try not to lose touch with that in your mind, while you also begin to become aware of your breathing. So that this living canvas now becomes a breathing canvas. And you're just breathing easily, allowing the breath to slow down because you've slowed down. Just breathing in and out. Relaxing the muscles of the belly so that you can inhale. And then allowing the contracted movement of the exhalation to draw the navel back in. But see if you can notice, if you get out of the way, that the belly does relax when you inhale. And then it does contract when you exhale. Because breathing is automatic. See if you can just watch the breath. Pick a place, whether it's at the nostrils, watching the breath move in and out. Or maybe you like watching at the belly. Watch that movement. And when you get distracted by thinking, or something else enters into your awareness and takes you away from focusing on your breathing, just notice that. Be aware, mindful. And when you notice that that's happened, notice that moment when you notice, and bring yourself back to the very next breath. Easy peasy. Even if you get pulled away from focusing on the sensations of breath, even if that happens 100 times over the next minute or so, your return, being aware of the distraction and then the return, doing that work, you will have spent that minute very well. Allowing yourself now to simply be. You can enter in more deeply into the cave of your body. You can let go of the focused concentration on the breath, and just allow yourself simply to be yourself, not knowing anything or becoming anything. Feeling that sense of aliveness. So then as you're ready, you can start to bring your palms together in front of the heart, bowing your head. And so it begins, the practice of yoga. And then as you're ready, you can release your hands and open your eyes. So we're going to start tonight's practice off with a seated twist. So as you can see behind me, I have my chair, and I have a lint roller, but you don't need to have a lint roller. I have a blanket on top of my chair, and I also have my belt and a block. So if you could get those things, if you don't have a block, you can also just get another blanket. So we're going to start off with a twist, a seated twist. I know many of you like this a lot, this posture a lot. And it would be so simple to add into, whoops, my head's cut off. It would be so simple to add it into one's daily routine. You could even do it in your car, for that matter. So you're going to sit sideways and sit on top of the folded blanket. So sit on top of the folded blanket if your seat, the height of the seat that you're sitting on is makes your knees kind of rise up a little bit higher than your hip socket. So if you're sitting and you notice that your knees are kind of up here higher, then raise the seat that you're sitting on, so that your knees are actually lower than your hip sockets. So if you're looking at it from the side here, that you could see that, but I'm going to go ahead and face you again. And then the block is going to go between your knees, but it can also, actually, you know what? No, put it down on the floor between your feet. So let me just show you. So that you have, we're going to focus on this kind of Tadasana position for the legs, so that the block is going to be between your feet, and you're going to put your belt on and bring it up between or around your thighs. Okay. So you've got the block between your feet, between the big toe mounds, and the feet are flush. You know, you're pressing the feet evenly down into the floor. Big toes are kind of squeezing into the block. It's like your feet are in Tadasana, and knees are hopefully pointing straight ahead, so everything is tracking and aligned in a good way. And we're going to turn into the seat of the chair. And as you're turning, to the back of the chair rather, as you're turning, you're going to maintain this alignment for the legs. So I'm going to raise my screen back up. Okay. So then taking the back of the chair, and you can start the twist. I think this is the part that everybody likes. So you're kind of pulling with hooking your fingers on the back with the arm that's away from the back of the chair, and you're pushing the heel of the hand with the arm that was closer to the chair. So this is as you're moving into the twist, of course. And breathe. Keeping your spine lengthened. So now if it feels okay, you can take your neck into the twist as well, but if it's too intense for your neck, if you feel some strain there, then just keep your chin aligned with your sternum. Breathing easily, breathing deeply. So perhaps one thing that this plant might need is some more oxygen in your blood. So if you've been breathing kind of short and shallow, short and strained throughout your day, this is a good time for you to relax the breath now and allow for not just more oxygen, but creating more nitric acid in the body as well, in the bloodstream. All right, so you can take one more breath here. And let go of the back of the chair and let yourself kind of spring back. So now you can kind of just slide yourself around to the other side of the chair. I'm going to actually move my chair, but you can just probably spin. So second side, again, put the block between your feet. And so you want your femurs also to be parallel to each other. Slipping on the belt again, unless if you took it off. Pressing the feet. Especially also pressing the heels. Notice how the heels kind of lift up sometimes when we're not paying attention. not being mindful of the mechanics of the feet. So trying to avoid straining your shoulders so that the twist is happening, kind of the motor of what's motoring you through and around is your belly, so that you don't feel that you're straining your shoulders or your elbows or even your hands. Keep pressing your feet, spread the toes, press the heels. And you can take your last breath here. And spiral back. Okay. So then you can go ahead and slip off your belt. And we're going to come to lie down on the floor. And you can bring your block with you. And we're going to take the block and put it between your feet. So pretty much in a similar place that you had it a minute ago. And then you can lie down and then straighten the legs back out so that the block is going to be between the big toe mounds. So we're going to try to simulate Tadasana here, even though you're lying on your back. So use your imagination to think about how this could be you standing on the floor. And so the big toe mounds are pressing into the blocks. The back of your pelvis is flush with the floor. Your pelvis is neutral, so you're not overly arching the back, or you're not also pressing and straightening or flattening the back. There's like a middle range there, middle curve of your lumbar spine. You can take your arms out to your side in a T. So you're pressing the big toe mounds and you're pressing out through the heels, but keep the heels in contact with the floor. So don't let the heels come up off the floor. Flexing the feet. So imagining that there's a flat surface there that you're pressing your feet into. You're standing. So you're pressing your heels. Try to draw the pinky sides of the feet up towards you. So there's that slight turning in. You might also notice that your knees slightly turn in, as also the inner thighs are turning in. So all kinds of action here. So this is Tadasana without gravity. The mountain has fallen, but it's still aligned, practicing good body mechanics. All right, so now you're going to move into Shavasana. So Shavasana is like you start off in Tadasana, but then you relax, right? Your feet flop out to the sides. Your thighs roll away from each other. There's a relaxation there, right? So you can feel that. And then see if you can, using the hips, not the ankles, see if you can roll your legs again and put them back into Tadasana. So hopefully your block didn't fall over completely and you can still use it. If it did, you can sit up and reposition it. So when you're bringing your feet back to the block, notice, are you using your ankles? And if you're not sure, we'll let your feet flop back out again. So try to use your inner thighs and your hip flexors, hip rotators actually, to bring the feet, the big toe mounds, to the block again. Press out through the heel. Draw the pinky sides of the feet up towards you. So back to Tadasana. Very active supine position. Okay, so now we're going to do those heel slides. So now you can release your legs again. Kind of jiggle your thighs if you like. A lot of hip rotator action there, and the hip flexors being used. You're kind of retraining your hip flexors by these exercises, these breakdowns of posture. So that was Tadasana. So now we're going to slide the heels one at a time. So we're going to take one leg up, slide the heel up, let the foot remain in contact with the floor the whole time you slide it up. And then you're going to roll it over to the side. It's going to kind of fold over the other leg. And just push with the ball of the foot. Once you fold, you bend the knee and you twist over the other leg. Push with the ball of the foot. And try to lengthen the thigh. So just lengthen the knee away from its hip. So there's some internal rotation of the hip going on here. And then you can go ahead and put the hip back, roll back over, put the heel on the floor. And then you can take the knee out to the side. So now you're going to have external rotation of the hip. Now don't avoid pushing the knee down to the floor. That's not the point. And keep the foot in contact with the floor the whole time. So now the pinky side of the foot is probably on the floor, and then roll it back up. Using your inner thighs, groins, to bring the sole of the foot back to the floor, and then go over the other leg again one more time. Draw it over. And then come back, roll back. Now the hips are flush with the floor again, and slide your heel away. Slide the foot away, heel remains on the floor the whole time. Now you're back in Tadasana. Big toes hopefully on the block. And we're going to slide the other heel up, all the way up. Bring the foot in. Now if the hips complain, like the sides of the hips complain or cramp, just slide your foot away from the body a little bit more. So the foot isn't as close to you as possibly could be. And then we're going to go ahead and twist. Take the leg over the other leg. Trying to lengthen the thigh by drawing that knee away from the hip. Breathe. And roll back to bring the hips back to the floor so that both sides of the hips are flush. And then go ahead and you're going to roll the foot now so the foot remains in contact with the floor, but you're going to roll it to the side. Pinky side of the foot comes to the floor. Knee comes out to the side. And then roll the foot back up so sole comes back to the floor. And now you're going to roll over to the other side, pushing with the ball of the foot so that you can twist a little bit. Twist and breathe. And then come back. And then bring your knee out to the side again. Baddha Konasana. It's like a half Supta Baddha Konasana here, right? And then you can roll the foot back up and slide your heel away. All right. So now let's do the heel slides And as you're taking the heel up, your knee is dropping out to the side, and then take the other foot up. Keep the heel in contact with the floor. Now the feet come together, soles of the feet together, pressing the soles of the feet together. Very active, engaged lower abdominal muscles and inner groins, inner thighs. And then you can use your inner groins and inner thigh muscles to start to draw the thighs together. And the feet turn toward the floor. Now the soles of the feet are on the floor. And then you can slide one heel away. Keep the feet in contact with the floor. The heel slides away. Come back to you find the block with your feet again. Lying in Tadasana. Drawing the pinky sides of the feet up towards you, pressing out through the heels. The back of the heel remains in contact with the floor. You could flex the feet. And let's do another round of heel slides here. So you're sliding one foot up, and the knee drops out to the side, letting that rotation happen at the hips. And press the soles of the feet together. Press, press, press. And then drawing the thighs together, rolling the feet, soles of the feet come to the floor, and then slide your heels away again. So you could do 10, 20, 30 of these at a stretch. But in the interest of our evening, we're just going to do a few. So you could slide your heels back up. And go ahead and roll to your side. And push yourself up. Actually, I've been encouraging people to do these if you have that routine of postures that you do before you roll out of bed. You can do heel slides in your bed. So let's now prepare for some downward dogs. So here, if you have something kind of soft, but not, if you have a foam block, you could use a foam block. If you don't have a foam block, I don't recommend using those, the wooden blocks, because if they happen to drop or fall and fall on your feet, that probably wouldn't be a good thing. Or you can use, I've been doing this with a yoga mat would work, but also a rolled up blanket. So I'm just going to use the rolled up blanket since I have it right here. And you're going to put this, whatever the object is that you choose, it's going to go between your thighs. So in a similar situation, remember when you had your legs belted together a few minutes ago when we were in the chair? It's going to be a similar setup there for you, except no belt. And you're going to go ahead. I know the blanket might be in the way, but start off in a kind of a modified child's pose. Take a few breaths. Be mindful of the body. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and lift yourself up. So you might need to keep your feet a little closer together than you normally would for a downward dog. So as you are lifting up and taking your legs back, try to move the blanket back with your inner thighs. So it may be kind of awkward because you're used to having your legs a little wider, further apart from each other. But just give this one a go, this at least for the first downward dog of the evening. Rolling your sit bones up. Keep the elbows unlocked. Spread the fingers. Release your head. Lengthening up through the sides of the abdomen. And breathe.
Breathe and be with the breath. Where did the breath go? Where did awareness go? So as you're ready, you can take another breath here. And you can lower yourself back down to the knees. Take your prop out, whatever you were using. And let's set up for a twisted child. You need your bolster. Sitting sideways behind it. Derotating. So getting a good twist, similar to the chair. When you were sitting on the chair, twisting on the chair. And as you're ready, spinning. Spinning forward. And lengthen yourself across the top of the bolster. Turn your head. Close your eyes. And you can take another breath. And go ahead and push yourself up. And let's prepare for a second downward dog. So if you want, you can lose the blanket or whatever you put between your legs and do your usual width for your legs, your feet. Go ahead and rise up. But now see if you can still encourage, without the prop there, you can still encourage the internal rotation of the thighs. And that pulling back, or that moving the backs of your legs back. Remember to be on the balls of the feet, and that you can kind of swivel when you're bearing all the weight of your legs onto the balls of the feet. See if you can swivel the heels out so that the outer edges of your feet are parallel. And imagine that there's a block in there, that you are trying to put the feet, the legs, into Tadasana to honor the mechanics, the way the body was designed. Allowing yourself simply to be, feeling the container of the body now, with that sense of self. And you can take a couple more breaths here. And lower yourself back onto the knees. Bringing your bolster on over. Let's twist. Twisted child to the second side. Allowing yourself to derotate first. Drop the hips. Feel very anchored down through the base of the body. Rooted. And then when you're ready, you can spin forward. So remember that you could even make that little helpful adjustment by taking your hands to the top of the bolster and pressing up, turning your chest, your heart to face the bolster a little bit more. Just a slight rotation, extra rotation there. And then go ahead and lengthen yourself across the top. Let the elbows slide out to the sides. Release your shoulder blades. Relax the muscles around your eyes. All right, so take a couple more breaths here. And you can press up with your arms, bring the hands in closer to you to help you be able to press up more easily. Okay, so then let's, you can sit on the front of your bolster. So we're going to do a little kind of a variation of gomakasana here. So you can have your first leg kind of tucked underneath the other, and then the top leg, or the one that's kind of going to go first, will be just kind of skip it over the top of the knee to the other side. And you can be on the ball of the foot. You can kind of be, and you can either bring the foot in closer to you or further away, whatever kind of works for you. But in a minute we're going to pick this leg up, so it's not going to matter too much. So as you're ready, you can just clasp your hands around your knee and go ahead and do that. Pick the leg up, kind of hug it in. If that's hard to clasp it around the shin bone, you can go under, kind of clasp it around the thigh, the back of the thigh, and do the same thing. Just sort of hug the leg in. So just keep your elbows pinned into the sides of your torso. Keep your ears aligned with the shoulders so you're not straining your neck or your shoulders at all. And then you can put your foot back down, and we're gonna go to the other side. So switch your legs. So it's a kind of a breakdown of gomakasana.
which is hard for a lot of us to do. So this kind of breaks it down a little bit, and still you get the benefit of the hips, hip flexors especially, or no, I guess it's the rotators that get addressed here, focused on here. So you're picking up that leg, hugging it in, or go behind, bring the thigh in, whichever kind of works for you. Relax the shoulders down, and again, kind of pinning the elbows in into the sides of the body. Being mindful of the breath. Okay, and you can put that foot down, and you can also kind of slide the heel away as you bring the other leg out. Slide that heel away also. Okay, so let's do some things for your upper back now. So you can have a bolster or a blanket for your head, and then grab your block, and we're going to use the block for the arm. And the posture is going to be the threading the needle. Oh, also if you like, because I know some of you have, your mats aren't so padded, you can put an extra blanket underneath your knees, so you have some extra cushioning there for the knees, so that we can save the synovial fluid, that precious synovial fluid in the knee. And you're going to reach under, and so you're going to let the head come to rest on the bolster, and then the other arm is going to come up and over and rest on the block, and you can adjust where the block is, trying to get a good rotation here. Now this takes some getting used to. It's not the typical way that we've been doing it on the floor without the props. So just sort of let yourself fine tune, but trying to let the shoulders kind of be opening, the chest is opening. There's obviously a twist. And hopefully your neck is being supported. If you need to come up higher with the whatever is underneath the head, that's also a possibility, so that you're not putting too much pressure on your neck. You might have to take the block up to the higher higher setting then. All right, so take another breath here. And then you can take the top hand down to the mat. Just put the palm down right in front of your face. Press up so you're strong arming using your triceps to come back up. And then we'll go to the second side. So I think I was just illustrating the possibility of how high you could go with with what's under your head. So now you're going to reach under with the second arm. And again, I think I will put my blanket back under my knees though. So just try to keep your knees aligned with your hip sockets, so that it's the knees are more or less directly underneath the hips.
So take a couple more breaths here. And you can take your top hand back in, so you put the palm on the floor right in front of your face and press up using that tricep muscle, that arm to push yourself up. Strong arm yourself back up. Okay, so now let's do some shoulder opening for the front of the shoulder, deep within the core. So you can take your elbows to your bolster, or blocks I guess you could use too, but the bolster is a little bit more cushiony for your elbows. And then just start to kind of slide your knees back and see if you can take your forehead to the floor. And then just take your fingers, your hands up into the air. Now your palms might come together. Or if you can bend the elbows a little more, then you take your arms and cross the wrists. So you're in a most excellent mudra. So not only is this for the shoulders, but you might also notice some thoracic middle back opening going on. If it's too intense to be in the arch, you could always also put something underneath your head. So get a blanket or a washcloth or something that's not as big as the bolster, and put your head on that. So put it on the inside of your bolster. So it has some reminiscent qualities of like a downward puppy. Yeah. And then you can bring your arms back, kind of move in reverse. So now the hands are pointing straight up toward the ceiling again. And you can drop the hands so the fingers are cradling your elbows. And then you can slide your hands out so you can bring the palms of the hands to the bolster. Push yourself up. Okay. So now let's get still in this theme of the back, opening the back. So you can get your blocks now and put them on the floor. So you have a higher setting for the one that's going to be for your head, and the medium setting for the one that's going to be for the shoulder blades. And you can sit on the floor in front of you, in front of them, with your legs in a cross-legged position. So when you're bringing your legs into the cross-legged position, trying to externally rotate your thighs. And so in yoga, when you're sitting in a cross-legged position, you're really trying to get the feet to be right underneath the knees. And this may mean that your knees are going to be kind of high up in the air. And then when you're ready, you can come back. So as you're lowering yourself down onto the blocks, try to engage the abdominal muscles. So you're going to kind of tuck your tail under a little bit so that you have some support in your abdominal structure, the core of the body, and then lowering yourself. So keep the feet flexed like they're
Sometimes people call this, it's like you're on the sides of your skis. So the pinky sides of the feet are what are now in contact with the floor, and the toes are pointing straight ahead. The ankles are at the front of the ankles are at 90-degree angles. There's all kinds of action there, and the knees are, my knees are like way up in the air, at least they feel like they are. And then you can take your arms out. You can manually adjust your head if you like. Make sure the block is supporting the back of your head, and tilt your head so the chin is coming down toward the throat. And then go ahead and close your eyes. So try not to drop the lower back toward the floor. So the lumbar spine curve is curving. It's arching. The back is arching. So if you need to modify it all for your feet or your knees, by all means, I know you guys know to do that. So a modification for this could be to straighten the legs. So if you keep your feet, your ankles flexed, and the pinky sides of your feet in contact with the floor, and you don't let your feet, twist or turn or drop, then you will be protecting your knees. All right, so take another breath. And you can bring your hands in closer to the sides of your body and gently press your elbows and the palms of your hands into the floor so that you can push yourself all the way up and sit up. All right. So now we're going to open up the lower back. So we're going to do Setu Bandha with one block. So once again, you can lie down, feet on the floor, and when you're ready, lifting your hips up. Remember, you can go up as high as you can, up on your tippy toes if you need to get the block, to tuck the block under the pelvis, so that you're trying to use whatever is the highest, steepest, tallest block setting that you can get to. Then externally rotate the arms so the palms are facing up. Gently press the back of your head into the floor, raise or lift the chest up, and tuck your shoulders under the body a little bit more. Now notice your feet. Are they in Tadasana? Outer edges of the feet, are they parallel? Are you pressing down through the ball of the foot and the heel? Notice that when you align your feet,
Then the knees track forward also. And that inner thigh rotation also happens. So if you have the block setting up at the highest, go ahead and come up onto your tippy toes again. Squeeze your glutes. Raise your hips up and take the block down to the medium setting, the middle height. Still squeezing your glutes until you get your heels back on the floor. And then if you like, you can extend the legs out. Keeping the backs of your heels in contact with the floor, and perhaps even trying to turn or spin the feet so that the big toe mounds are turning towards each other as you press out through the heel. They may not be touching. You can keep your feet apart. All right, so take another breath here. And slide the heels in one at a time. Heel slides. Press your feet, squeeze the glutes, raise your hips up, and then lower your hips back down. And then just stay for a moment with your hips on the floor when you release your butt muscles. And then go ahead and roll to your side. And put your hands on the floor to push yourself up. So go ahead and get what you'd like to use for Supta Baddha Konasana now. So whether you can do it over 2 blocks if you like, since we've been using those. Or you can grab your bolster. Remember to get a couple rolled blankets to put underneath the legs also.
Put your socks back on if you think you're going to get a little cool, if your feet cool down a lot at the end of a practice. Taking your arms out to the side. So if you like, you can bring your hands together right over the body and interlace your hands, interlace the fingers together of both hands, and stretch your arms straight up from the heart, inverting your hands so the palms are now facing the ceiling. And then you can take your arms over. And then you can separate the hands and bring your arms into a more comfortable position, either out in a T or cactus arms, or all the way down closer to the sides of the body, whatever works for you tonight, whatever the shoulders are telling you is where you need to be. So you could make any little adjustment here. We're going to begin to wind down your practice to move into the cave, enter in more deeply, journey within. So if you struggle with being, if your mind is creating lots of thinking, lots of mental activity going on, then of course noticing that, being mindful of that mental activity. And then bring yourself to the next breath. Allow your return to each new breath to be a way to help steady the mind, steady awareness, steady concentration. And then doing all of this in an attitude of kindness, so that you're not being hard on yourself. And perhaps also with curiosity, be super curious about how your mind is working.
So as you're ready, you can straighten the legs. Just slide your heels out one at a time. And take your arms in closer to the body. You can flip your hands over so the palms are on the floor and press the forearms and your hands into the floor to push yourself up. All right. So go ahead and grab your chair again and let's set up for halasana. So remembering that you can put a blanket in front of the chair so that your shoulders have something to rest on, and also so the shoulders and the spine will be slightly higher than your head, which gives the neck something, a little bit of support there. And then also put your runway down. Sitting on the bolster. As you lie down over the bolster and bring your shoulders to the floor, reach over so that you can measure the distance between your body by pushing the chair away so that the hands are just holding on to the feet of your chair. And then go ahead and roll yourself up. So remember, you can keep the hands on the back if that works for you, or you could lay them on the floor. You can have the feet curled under on the seat of the chair so that they're kind of resembling your feet in downward dog. Or you can slide your feet through a little bit further so that the tops of the shin bones are resting on the seat of the chair. So you can take your last breath or two here. And start to lower yourself down. Let your back, rest on the bolster, bring your feet to the floor. You could wrap your arms around your throat, your neck, your chin, your face in this variation of the eagle. All right, then you can unwrap, release your embrace, and roll to your side. Pushing yourself up. Okay, so you can take yourself to the wall now. Getting ready for Viparita Karani. So remember that we're trying to encourage Viparita Karani to become not only restorative, but also therapeutic. So in this way, what we're trying to do then is get a belt. And if you can roll up a blanket, or if you have another sticky mat, or you can put the blanket on the floor underneath you and use your sticky mat, roll it up so you have a prop that you can put between your legs. And then when you're ready, as you come to sit sideways on your bolster, put your belt on. So the belt will be in the same place that it was when you were, so it might already be at the exact right measurement, where it was when you were in the twist. Remember the first thing we did. So then you can go ahead and swing your legs up. Adjust the bolster underneath you if you have to. And when you're keeping your knees bent, you can put your mat there, or the blanket, so that it's going to be between your knees, but also between the big toe mounds. And then you can tighten the strap here. So looking up at your feet, trying to get the pinky sides of the feet to be drawing towards you, and the big toe mounds to be pressing away. And then making any other little adjustments that you need to be comfortable. Your arms could be straight out by your side, like out by your sides in a T, palms facing up, or you could bend the elbows into a cactus arms. So trying to keep the feet active here, actively pressing or holding on to the prop. Relax your face. You can manually adjust your head, tilting the neck so that the chin is moving toward the throat. Actually, it's like a pivot of the head from the very top of the spine. Relax all the little muscles of your face. Relax the root of the tongue, in your mouth. Release the grip of the scalp. Nowhere else that you need to be. It's time. It's now. So, and now, what does this plant need? So as you're ready, you can start to open your eyes. And then you can bend your knees a little so that you can loosen your belt and remove your prop from between your feet. And then as you feel ready, take your belt off. Trust me, it's easier to take it off when you're still lying on the bolster. So that the last thing you do is roll to your side so that you can push yourself up, come to sit. Bringing your palms together in front of your heart. Bowing your head to honor yourself. And remember, you already have everything that you need inside. Namaste.